Good afternoon. I now call to order the Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025, 1 p.m. School Board Workshop. Please rise for the moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare of bursting gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Please be seated. Okay, we'll do roll call, starting down there.
Ramirez, present. Janie, Ruddy, present.
Derek Bowers present.
Christy, Chong.
Will Furry present.
LaShakia Moore.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to board member liaison updates. Would you like to start, Lauren?
Sure. All right. So, lots going on, or a lot has gone on. So we'll start with Belterre Elementary School. So they had a PTO and SAC meeting. It went wonderful. The SAC and PTO team works really hard. They're going to be celebrating Teacher Appreciation Week coming up. Lots of fundraising, so funds that were requested by teachers. So funding for sensory rooms, VPK graduations, first grade party. So just for the public to know, PTO and SAC money that is managed, faculty are able to request money, so it all goes back into the school, so it was really great. Next meeting will be May 8th. They have a book fair coming up this whole week. Kindergartner Roundup is actually tomorrow, so there's a wonderful video that communications team has put out, so thank you for doing that. Ice cream, so Sweet Melissa's, I know that's one of your favorites. They will be there April 28th, or that's when the money's due, April 28th, so please, if you want that for your child or teacher. ESOL is having a family night April 29th. Carnival night is going to be May 2nd. I'm excited. I'll be going there with all of my boys. So they are going to, let's see, lots of teacher feedback. So lots of teachers were sharing feedback on how to grow PTO and SAC. So lots of ideas that I think are going to work for next year. So I think next year will be a lot more turnout. And just want to say I had a wonderful meet and greet at Belterre. Met lots of kids, lots of teachers, custodial staff, cafeteria staff, spent pretty much the whole day there, so it was really great. Matanzas, they had a wonderful military ball this past weekend, so that was wonderful to see. Their new library was beautiful. SAC was held in that session area. May 13th will be the ribbon cutting. They have given out 10 mini grants so far, so again, that shows where SAC money is going. 10 different grants have gone out to teachers at the campus to participate in different activities, and they had 2 more that were going to be hopefully going out to. Over 400 certifications have been given out for the Diploma Plus, so they are doing amazing, working really hard with that. There's so many events, I can't even go over them, but if you are a Matanzas parent, I highly recommend to read their newsletter. It has every deadline, so a lot of parents were, wondering how to meet the deadlines for like dual enrollment, things like that. It's all on those online newsletters, so please check it out. Field Day's coming up. I'll be there next Wednesday for another student meet and greet for those students, so looking forward to that. EPAC, they have welcomed several new members, and they were discussing BPIE, so best practices for inclusive education. So I wasn't able to make that meeting, but I've been touching base with the members there, so Dr. Holliday and such, so stay tuned for that. Flagler Youth Coalition, that team's been working really, really hard on a huge event that's coming up this Saturday, 10 to 3. So if you are a middle school student, high school student, there's going to be pizza, Texas Roadhouse, at the Carver Center, financial planning, career pathways, student safety, lots of stuff going on. So there you go. It's been busy, and it's going to get busier. So thank you.
Spring is a busy time. Awesome. So we'll start with Buddy Taylor. There is they held the Future Eagle visit where the 5th graders who are coming into Buddy Taylor get to visit the school. They held that on April 21st. And it's really great to see the 5th graders get super excited about their next step in their educational journey. Buddy Taylor has teams both in their C Perch and their future problem solving teams going to internationals. I'm sure that many of those teams are looking to raise funds. Please reach out to the school administration if you would like to support those, as the future problem solvers is out of state and it's a pretty substantial amount. They had to move their SAC meeting for the month of April to May 1st. That'll be held at Buddy Taylor in the library at 5:30 p.m. We would love to see more parental involvement there. Please don't be shy to come out. We're looking for your input. All you need is an interest in the students at Buddy Taylor, and you're welcome. They had an author visit the school, Taryn Souter. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. But that was well received and great to see a published author visiting our schools and getting students excited in reading, and those who might be pursuing those literary interests. Course selection for 7th graders is April 28th. For 8th graders, April 29th. If you're absent on those dates, then the course selection will be on April 30th. Buddy Taylor has a great organization with that in terms of they have created a class Schoology or a class within Schoology where the students can go to get information about course selection. So parents, please be aware they do need to have your signature on those items, and those selections can be critical in their academic journey. There are some big assessments, the end of the final assessments for the year. Civics is happening the first week of May. Reading is May 6th. Math, Progress Monitoring 3, the end of course algebra or geometry, depending on what course they're in, is happening between May 12th and the 14th. May 2nd, they're having an Eagle Artists show. It's free, it's open to everybody, so it would be lovely to go by and see the creative skills that our students have. They're also holding a museum night on May 16th, which will be exciting. And May 25th is the 8th grade promotion ceremony. There are a lot of details regarding parking, how many can each child invite, as well as the ceremony is split based upon who you have for, or who the student has for Eagle Advisory. So please check that out. FPC also has several students attending the Future Problem Solvers International Competition, so they could probably use your support. There is an ROTC Awards ceremony and an SGA banquet being held on April 30th. And the Junior ROTC is holding some national drills and fitness events on May 3rd. And of course, One of the big defining moments of high school, May 9th, is the prom for FPC, so that's really exciting. In terms of some of the legislative updates, I do want to share that I was provided with a response from a senator regarding the bill where they are perhaps looking to make some changes regarding the funding for career programs, IB, ACE, and I am setting up a meeting this Thursday with Ms. Wormack in order to get some details because there was some clarification in terms of the impact. The way that they're seeing it is that they are providing more freedom in how we spend that money, not necessarily earmarking it only for those particular programs. So again, I'm going to get clarity from Ms. Wormack because that was an item that I called out last week. This Friday, I'm going to start what I'm calling is Ruddy Rounds. I'll be setting up a table in the library at Buddy Taylor and then at FPC. I'll share some times both with those schools and a flyer and on my social media. But I would love to hear feedback from anybody about how the school year has gone regarding successes, things they would like to see in the future, just kind of a listening tour from my liaison schools. And I will be scheduling those so they're towards the dismissal part of the day. And if you can't make it in person, that's fine. In my information, I'll share with how to connect with me if you can't attend in person. But I welcome parents and students, community members who are interested in sharing their ideas and their voice with me to join me on Friday. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Rimfire Elementary School. Our next SAC meeting is going to be May the 15th, 8 o'clock a.m. We're asking all who are participate in that school, parents, as you mentioned before in your other schools, as much participation as possible at our next SAC meeting. Our kindergarten roundup is going to be April the 23rd. It was mentioned earlier from 5 to 6:30. So you can always go on their website or Facebook to obtain more information related to that. Math night is going to be Thursday, April the 24th from 6 to 7 in the cafeteria. And then we also have PTO elections that are going to be going on May the 8th at 5:30. So again, you can check those out on Facebook, and we would love to have more participation from our parents and families for those meetings. Fortunate enough, like Mr. Bush and I recently, we've been able to play golf a good bit of time the last couple of weeks. So we played in the 4th annual Joe Rizzo Golf Tournament, raising money, and just a lot of great turnout from the community to raise money for Flagler Schools and the foundation. So I just really appreciate the work that they did and being able to participate in that. And then we also helped raise money for the foundation for rural education excellence as well over in Putnam County. Sadly to say, we did not win anything, but we did have a good time whacking it around a little bit out there. So also with DJJ, with Mr. Finelli being our liaison from the district. Just a couple of things that are going on with some of our participating groups that are there from the Sheriff's Office, for example, where they're going to have a boxing showcase. It's going to be at the Carver Center, May the 24th. It's going to showcase St. John's, Putnam, and Flagler counties. And then upcoming information for the CSI camp, which was a success last year. And then also about some civil citations. About 50% of eligible juveniles who were eligible for civil citation, about 50% were issued those citations. 130 youth from Flagler and Volusia County sadly are in detention. And then also this week with Mr. Glasgow, we've got Turning Around Awards. I'm looking forward to speaking at that event this week and bringing a story that I hope will bring hope and a lot of ways that you can potentially be able to turn your life around based off of a story that I have of a young man that I worked with when I was a school resource officer many years ago. FTC attended a meeting with our commercial vehicle driver training group and workshop, and being able to help provide guidance to them related to some additional opportunities for donations and also just some regulatory guidance that they need for the driver training school. Ms. Ruddy mentioned some things related to legislative efforts. We are in week 7 of the legislative process. We continue to work with our lobbyist group, the Sarah Brothers, and also with our associations as we continue to wait on what the current budget status is going to look like, and we'll have more to come on that. So I will yield back.
I'll start with school health advisory. Pertussis cases continue to be on the rise. You'll see that chronic cough with that. Getting a Tdap vaccine does prevent that if you choose to do that, and we will also be offering that for the 6th and 7th grade when that is due again. And then just a personal side note, I've also seen a lot of RSV this year too, so both of those cause a very long cough that is viral and just takes time to pass. And I wanted to highlight from food services, this Senate bill, it's on hold right now. We're moving through, but just about ultra-processed foods and how they're looking to prohibit that. It's kind of an interesting one to look up, prohibiting a lot of the food dyes and stuff. But I think our food services does a great job. The food is high quality. You know, if you've ever been there to see it, I think our kids get a great meal. So I know they'll continue to work on that. Let's see, what else here? And then I spent some time at Benel, similar to what you're saying. We called it office hours, and just a time for teachers and staff to stop in. And I just appreciate those that came by and just to touch base and give me some feedback and just to see how, you know, what their challenges are, and even got good positive feedback. So that's good too, just to see some of the highlights and have some teachers stop in and talk to me about all kinds of things. And I'll touch a little bit on that, but just want to say thank you to those that did come by, and I'll extend that to Wadsworth also in the near future. Let's see, Benel will have their field days, May 19th through 21st. Flagler has their promotion coming up. That'll be one of the first ones on May 14th at 6 p.m. I think those are my highlights for today.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll start off with Old Kings. Now they have a fundraiser night happening over at Texas Roadhouse tomorrow. We want to support them. If you go there and drop your receipt in the donation bucket, Texas Roadhouse will donate 10% of your food purchase there. So that's a way you can support Old Kings. Also, Matanzas ViStar interns came to speak with the 4th and the 5th graders to give them a little education on financial literacy. Also, several of those who entered the Josh Cruz writing were published in the Josh Cruz writing program, and also their choir went down and sang to the Daytona Tortugas event. So that was another highlight there at Old Kings. So great things happening there. At Indian Trails, they sent out over 120 nomination letters for National Junior Honor Society. They had an amazing Mustang roundup with incoming 6th graders, where hundreds of families from across the district attended to see possible course selections for the next year. 6 Mustangs had their written works published through the Josh Cruz writing project. And they have a band concert at Matanzas High School tonight. Moving on to the Flagler Auditorium. So they have been awarding their senior scholarships, and they've done them at the last 3 shows, so very proud of those recipients there. And they will be having the student showcase this month that will include the Flagler Youth Orchestra, dance band, chorus, and those shows are the FPC Starlets presenting Starlet Showcase, and then that is on April 24th, this Thursday. And then we have coming up a big performance, the FPC Thespian presents The Wizard of Oz, and there's going to be several showings of that in May, starting May 15th, running to that Saturday, May 17th. And you can check their website for tickets and times. And there's also the FPC Band end-of-year concert. So some great events to attend. The Flagler Palm Coast Regional Chamber has a new president. His name is John Phillips, and they're going to be having a meet and greet Tuesday, April 29th from 4:30 to 6 at the Hilton Garden Inn. So if you'd like to meet the new chamber president, there's an opportunity for you. And last here would be the Ed Foundation, and they had another successful golf tournament, as Mr. Vars had mentioned earlier. It was a fun day for all. And most importantly, the Ed Foundation does a great job with this event. They make it a fun day. It's well organized, and the greens fees that you pay to participate go to raise money for the Classroom to Careers program. So it's a great effort there, and I believe they did reach all their goals through that and other fundraising opportunities throughout the day. So just kudos to the Ed Foundation for their support. And that concludes my liaison updates. So we will move along now to our adoption of agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda today? No? Okay. Then I'd like a motion to adopt the agenda as stated.
Motion to approve, sir.
I have a motion by Mr. Vars,
Second.
second by Ms. Chong. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we will move forward with this agenda. So that now leads us to public comment. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment today? Nope. Okay, so we will close public comment and move on with today's business. And that brings us to finance, 5.01, permission to advertise policy 716, authorized travel expenses. Ms.
Good
Womack.
afternoon, Chairman Furry, board members, and Superintendent Moore. Mr. Smith and I are here regarding travel policy 716. 2 weeks ago, we did workshop this, and there were some board recommendations that we went back and fixed. So I'm going to let Mr. Smith just briefly talk about the changes that he did make.
Real briefly, a couple changes made where there was a reference to the website that you wanted us to reference with regard to reimbursements for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then also referencing to the standard rate, and then also making more clear the statutory guarantee of the $80 for the entire reimbursement, just in case they happen to hit a number lower than that $80. So I'm happy to answer any questions or make any edits as you see fit.
Do we have any questions, board, on this agenda item? Okay, well, then we're all set there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is an item that is on
Tonight's meeting.
for tonight's meeting, so we brought it back before you for the corrections that you asked for, and then it will be before you again tonight for advertisement.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll now move on to academic services, 6.01 graduation event. Dr. O'Brien.
Hi. Good afternoon, Board, Chair Furry, Superintendent Moore. This is the time of year where we celebrate and honor the achievements of our students being promoted and graduating. So we have those dates attached to board docs for the benefit of the public, and they will see these on social media and other avenues as well. But just to highlight a few things, on May 7th and 8th, we have our Ed Foundation Senior Scholarship distributions for Matanzas and Flagler Palm Coast High School. On May 14th.
May I just add that
Yep.
if you are unfamiliar with that event, we definitely invite you to come and be a part of it. You can be a part of either night or both nights, but you will be assigned to a route, and on that route we will go out and we will give out scholarships to the homes of the recipients. It's a fun night. It's several hours, so be prepared to be there for a few hours. But it is an amazing opportunity to just go out into the community and showcase the great work that our students have accomplished.
Sure is. May 14th is the iFlagler promotion for kindergarten 5th and 8th. We've got senior walk the hall events starting on May 19th and going through the 22nd. Kinder promotions starting on the 22nd for several of our schools. Both 8th grade promotions will be on May 27th. We've got graduation on May 28th at the Ocean Center with Matanzas High School at 3 and Flagler Palm Coast High School at 7. And then we have a few more promotions on May 29th. And then June 3rd is the Flagler Technical College and Road to Success, our accelerated GED program graduation at 6 p.m. Any questions?
Any questions? No?
All right.
Informative, thank you.
Yes.
And board, you will be in regalia for May 28th and June 3rd. That is full regalia for the FTC graduation as well.
Very good. Okay, 6.02, Student Code of Conduct. We have Mr. Glasgow and Mr. Finelli. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Board. Good afternoon, Superintendent Moore. Today, we just wanted to provide an update of where we're at in our timeline with the Student Code of Conduct. Nayad, if you could go to this one. So it's been updated for today's workshop. So I just wanted to go through the information collection process, where we're at with it, what stakeholders have been included so far, and kind of what's the future rollout as we get closer to the time of coming before the board again on, I believe it's the 13th, and having it for agenda workshop before you guys vote on it to have it go and be published for the 30 days prior to approval. We started off with our leadership meeting back in March and shared it out. That was shared with principals, APs, and directors. During the March timeframe, we met with this board for the school board workshop. We also included it during our leadership meeting and went a little bit more in depth and detail regarding seeking our input and what our end goal is. And our end goal really is to capture as much feedback as we can from all stakeholders within our community. We then went through the dean's meeting and had them provide some direct feedback there and kind of get conversations started, and ask them to share it out as they're having conversations with their families in their day-to-day work, and have them provide them with the link to provide feedback as well. We did update the district website. Currently, it's under the discipline page, but as we get closer to the next board meeting, it is going to be moved to the front page. We'll switch out one of the main areas on it, and then that'll be a direct link to it. I'm working with Don Foley to make sure that we have a good social media rollout and announcement of it, and to have that feedback collected. That brings us to today's workshop. Again, just here to kind of present the overall numbers and what we're looking to do. Nayad, you can go to the next. Thank you. When I submitted this, we have a few more responses. We're about 47 overall responses. A good portion of those are already from parents. So it was shared out to our schools directly, and they were asked to share it out with their PTO and SAC groups. So that's where we're starting to get that parent feedback. So we really want to target where our information's coming from, not just kind of throw it out there at the front and just let it all come in at once. We want to be able to, one, target groups, receive that feedback, process it, and then apply it as we need moving forward.
Is that the first time we've been tracking that?
No, sir. No, we've done it in the past.
Okay.
So far, we have, and the numbers have changed just a little bit, not too much, but we do have predominantly secondary providing us feedback overall. Main focus overall is discipline, followed by dress code, and then there is some attendance policy concerns, and then some other issues as we go down that. What's unique about it is that sometimes it's not just one piece of feedback that's given, it's numerous pieces of feedback within, so it's kind of hard to categorize all the feedback that's gained just at face value when there's several concerns listed within a form submission. So
you have an open response, and so there isn't a question asking them to kind of classify it. You're interpreting how it's classified based upon the open response?
Sort of. So there is one area of categorizing, and then they're able to select other. So that way we kind of have the main groups of attendance, dress code, discipline, but if it's outside of that, we want to make sure that we're also collecting any additional feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not directly pertain to student code of conduct. It may have something to do with our student progression plan or something different that doesn't quite fit within
Oh,
the
I see what you're
categories.
saying. Okay. I see bullying and harassment separated out from discipline. So in that, that's not, there wasn't like a special case that you broke it out, it's clearly got its own category.
It does, and
Okay.
it's because in the Student Code of Conduct, it also has its own area, just like there's separate state statute as well, specifically regarding bullying. So we want to make sure that that is separated and directly addressed through
Yeah.
that, not just standard.
Well, I'm actually, I'm delighted to see that that's not the biggest category, because I think sometimes the perception in our community is that is the biggest issue.
Sure.
And so clearly the initiatives that are working. Obviously,
ma'am.
you're going to have people that have feedback regarding how discipline is processed or the consequences for things. So I'm really, feeling excited that so far, I know it's just 42 responses,
Yes,
but it
ma'am.
isn't the overwhelming
Sure.
topic.
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting.
Nide, you can go to the next, please, sir. We wanted to highlight some considerations, so it may not be direct language that was taken from stakeholder input, but how to categorize it or kind of summarize it all together. So some of the considerations taking a look at is adding a defiance major and a defiance minor, and instead of it just being a overarching category, we're able to differentiate and apply discipline more specifically to events, whereas like there could be lower level defiance that occurs versus higher level, and that way defiance is a heavy topic overall, but when you really drill down and is it being defiant of safety procedures and whatnot versus you gave an eye roll and you refused to pick up your pencil. So that's why we want to be able to give our teams the flexibility to code things in a different way, not just overarching. Same thing with false reporting, major, minor. What that would probably look like is, and just thinking about it through, it would be adding definitions. So if we gain information that it's found through our investigative processes that information that's provided to us turns out to be a false report, and the false report would have led to possible level 1, level 2 referrals, that would be a lower level of false reporting. And then if the information were to come out to be a possible, let's say, safety or security problem on our campus, and it was found out not to be true, then the higher false reporting coding would be issued. Again, it's just an ability to give our teams some clarity and some language to stand on, and also to help support students as, if it's low level, or if they're reporting in good faith, they're not going to get false reporting. But through investigations, if it is found that they have misreported, then that way it's not a heavier consequence on a minor report of it. Adding language outlining specific rewards being removed or declined. There's quite a bit of feedback about this as far as being transparent about possible field trip participation, some of the PBI's rewards and dances, that kind of thing. So we'll be taking a little deeper dive and look at the positive things that are going on in the school, and then what happens when you incur any kind of discipline, how that may affect your participation in things at your school.
My understanding
yes,
is
ma'am.
with those larger events that typically that is, or it was the policy where they were to advertise, hey, to be able to attend this field trip or this dance, you have to have X, Y, Z.
Sure.
Is that still the case, or is it different from school to school, and that's why you're looking to clarify that here? I'm just worried that, too, we want to provide some autonomy to schools.
Sure.
As long as there's prior advanced notice given to parents and students about the consequences of their behavior.
I think it would support both as far as one, a timeline of notification of the awards that are going on and what celebrations that may be impacted by student behavior. And then also the second part to that is just helping support our teams with the language that's in there, and really having our families and our community know the definitions in which we're working with when we're saying you can't have discipline because of X, Y, and Z, or maybe it's a percentage, that's associated with it in regards to like PBIS, not really looking at a no referral initiative, but a reduction in percentage overall, so it's more
I see.
targeted.
Okay.
And we definitely want to have our schools have the autonomy, and so not looking at what this would apply to, but really just making sure we are systematic around what that advanced notification needs to look like and when, because
Standardizing that.
standardizing that it needs to be done, you know, these forms and be clearly articulated, because each year we get a parent that will say, you know, they didn't know that it was, and so just getting some standardization around that. Yeah.
Nye, can you go back? There's a couple more points. Just reporting violations of the student code of conduct. So just outlining within our student code what are the appropriate ways in which our students and families can report. So it would just be incorporating the language around see something, say something, Fortify Florida, just having a designated area where people can look it up and be able to report. And then the last piece is that adding language to support reporting of alleged violations with timelines. So with that, it's taking a look at, sometimes we get reports of an occurrence happened with little Doug, but that occurrence happened maybe 60, 90 days ago, and it's being brought to our attention now as a school district. So we'll be adding language in to support a timeline of things that we'll take a look at and consider and investigate, and if it's beyond a time frame, maybe having a structured support system to help those that are outside of maybe a 30-day period or a 60-day period.
Two things that I do want to add is back to Ms. Ruddy's point. I do think that we at what point, I guess let me ask the question, at what point will this go out to the larger community of parents? I know we've targeted the specific, you know, asked the schools to target, but I think that once it gets to the point of being on our website as a button, that should be the time that we can send it out to all of our parents as that last push for them to be able to provide input if they have not done so by the means that we've already done.
Yes, ma'am. That plan's been worked out with Mr. Don Foley here probably in the next 7 to 10 days. We'll be rolling it out, and he's the social media genius behind it all. So really what it is looking for that sweet spot of when we're requesting the feedback. If we did it too early, we don't want it to be a check in the box to say, well, we did it, and now it's 2 months later, and you forgot to give us input. And we also don't want to do it the night before, because then that doesn't allow our families to really give us good input. So when we come back before the board, I believe it's on the 13th, we'll have it open for about a 2.5 to 3 week time frame. Okay. So that way all stakeholders can get more or provide more input.
So the current button on the behavior page is not related to this feedback?
It is, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep.
We're going to move it to the main page.
Oh, the main, okay,
Yep.
so when you say, okay, that's.
We
what I
needed a
wanted.
landing spot, so for the PTO and SAC meetings and administrators, they had a landing point to go to other than just a Google form web link. So.
Yeah, no, there were some questions from the community members, and I want to make sure that I directed them correctly. Because I think, too, I understand what you all are trying to do in terms of being able to digest feedback as it comes in, but then it's like, well, my friend whose kid goes to Belterre, they filled this out and I didn't. Did I miss it? Where is it? So you're saying it is going to be a phased rollout, and then there's going to be one large community invite, and which time it would be on the main page of our website.
Yes, ma'am.
And so there's still plenty of time to be able to participate.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
The other consideration that we've heard this year, and I'm sorry, I thought that was all the consideration. I see you have some additional.
Yes, ma'am.
Is around the appeal process, making sure that that is spelled out clearly in the code for families who may not have understood that process thoroughly.
Yes, ma'am. That has not been brought up as far as for our feedback, but I know that we've been talking internally about what's a better way in which we can appeal or communicate the appeal process to our families ahead of time, not just in the moment of when little Doug has something, but then that way it's a continued conversation, not a right now thing, or even after the fact. A lot of times parents say, well, I'm new to the county, I didn't even know that. And we've also, Mr. Finale and I have spoken about, right now the time frame is 2 school days for an appeal response, and and for a parent to reply in writing and all the things, we are looking at kind of extending what that time frame may look like, and also giving my position a little bit more time to review the appeal process. So when it's a 2-day turnaround and you're at Future Problem Solvers in Orlando and
Yeah.
you're trying to get things out, like it was a rough time. But thankfully, the families that I was working with, I explained it to them, and they're very flexible on it. But at the same time, we can add some more flexibility to how we do business and allow that opportunity for them.
And just that clarity so that all of the families know, as you said ahead of time, what the process is. They are notified at the time of, but there's a lot of emotions that go around. My kid is getting a disciplinary action.
Sure.
By the time you sit down to process that, you may have already gone past that time frame.
Yes, ma'am. These two kind of came up in just summarizing some of the feedback that's came in. Taking a look at adding language to clarifying a student's participation in either a mutual or prearranged physical altercation cannot be excused under claims of self-defense. And really what it's talking about is just a continuum of response. If you're yelling at me, that doesn't give me any right to touch you. And if I do touch you, to what extent? Is it requiring medical attention? Is it requiring numerous individuals to be involved? So just taking a look at our code and how our language supports that, and to see what we can add in to support the fact of the participating in it cannot be excused under self-defense.
Mm-hmm. And it goes under our see something, say something. Technically, if they receive a threat,
Yeah.
the proper response is
Yes,
to
ma'am.
notify people. Yeah.
And a lot of it is going to be addressed in our investigation processes and determining intent behind it, and student statements, staff statements, not just a video, not just family provided video, but all the information as a whole, and what was the intent behind it. And some of that will also support some of the other areas of investigation and appeal process, but we're looking at it holistically for sure. The other piece is including language supporting school discipline action when student behavior, including communication or events occurring outside of school hours or off campus, result in a substantial disruption to the school environment or creates a reasonable perception of fear, intimidation, or safety concerns among students or staff. And our code already says that. It's just a little gray in there, and we want to be very pronounced in the fact of if you're engaging a behavior that's occurring off of our campus and it's affecting our daily operations to educate students, then we do have the ability to issue school discipline through the code of conduct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nadia, you can go to the next slide, sir. Clarifying the difference between being a witness of a crime and witness of a violation of student code of conduct regarding parent involvement in each of the processes. So we did receive some community feedback to it, and it's in two different sections, but I do agree with the community member that we could be more clear of what a witness means and at what stage is it. So it's different if it's a student code of conduct violation versus if law enforcement's involved. So we'll become more clear on when a parent should be included and contacted and all the parts that support that. I think it's the last consideration, add language supporting a reasonable timeline for due process and administered consequences. So to Ms. Moore's point, again, not only the appeal process, but the due process. And I always talk about good, better, and best in the classroom, so I'm applying it to my role that I'm in now. In the information that we collect, is it good, better, or best? So it doesn't matter if it's a family appeal or a civil rights complaint or a legal proceeding. We are going to have all the documentation that we need to help support our students. I think, and then that's it. I just keep on adding to the same presentation that I have. So, anyone have any questions or concerns?
When it says 42 responses, how big of a group was this offered to, or was that just
Sure.
who responded? Or
So what it was shared out to principals first, and then to, in a group meeting, and then it was shared out to them via email to all the administrators at the school. They were asked to share it out with their schools however they saw fit, and specifically to reach out to the PTO and SAG meetings. Some schools did take advantage and just sent it out on their, community blast to other families. Other schools just did selected or SAC and P.
But it will eventually, it's all going to be.
Here within the next 7 to 10 days, as soon as I can work with Mr. Foley to get, and Miss Mary Magno to get everything updated and rolling.
I see a student participated.
Yes,
That's-
absolutely.
I think that's great, though, so to get their point of view. So.
And we're currently trying to coordinate, we have the teen town hall that we currently run, and I'm actually trying to do a special session with our school board representatives and work with them, and it not be necessarily the same format as teen town hall, but maybe a panel of students, and we'd have to kind of target students that aren't just always selected to have, so.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right, we're all set.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank
for
you.
your
Thanks,
work
I
on
appreciate
this.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll move on to 6.03, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University and Flagler School's dual enrollment articulation agreement. 3.
Good afternoon, Ms. Furry, board members, Superintendent Moore. This will also be an action item for you tonight. Back on August the 6th, at a board workshop, I brought before you a contract. It's our annual one. We work with Embry-Riddle. And in the notes of the board notes, I put in there information about, we were trying to stand up Embry-Riddle as a course at Matanzas High School. And I said, if they do not, we'll have to come back and adjust the contract. Well, they were not able to stand one up this school year. I can tell you that we have one for next year. Because of that, there is an adjustment in the contract down, reduction of $440 less than what we approved in August. And so what I'm bringing before you is a change in that. It's reflected in this total price here of $24,162.
Any comments or?
So it's just the
So it's
reduction?
just amending the
Just
the
the-
Just
price.
amending
Amend
the
the price
price
of what we-
to reflect
yeah.
what actually happened.
Yes, okay.
All right. Looks like we're good, Ms. Reeves. Thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Very good. I also.
And you have a field trip.
Field trips, yes, sir. I have 2. So BTMS, I heard Ms. Ruddy share that they are excited. They're going to Sea Perch, which is an exceptional opportunity for our students, and excited for them to see this taking place. And yes, fundraising is taking place, and they would love your support. So I share that for the community. But you can see their team is going. There's 3 students going, and this trip is from the end of May 30th to June 1st, and they'll be traveling to Maryland.
That's awesome. Ms. Jones does a wonderful job with that. She's had several years
Absolutely.
of success with that, so.
It is one of my
Students
favorites. The second item for you for travel is an annual one for Coach Halliday at Flagler Palmcoast High School. He takes his cross-country crew up to Boone, North Carolina to run, and they'll be paying this through their internal accounts. And you can see their travel timeline information there. It's July the 13th through July the 19th.
Right,
Run the
dead of
mountain.
the summer, they're gonna
Run
run
in the
like
mountains.
that.
They're going to run in the mountains. Better them than me.
Some people do that for fun.
They do that for fun. Any questions about these 2 trips?
Wonderful.
They'll be before you tonight as well under consent.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
congratulations, new grandfather.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes. Congratulations.
Okay. Right. So we move on to Human Resource Services, and we're going to 7.01 insurance rates. Mr. Olesh.
Mr. Furry, board members, Superintendent Moore. We have a few items for you today at the workshop. If possible, I'd like to start with 7.4, which would be the slate of benefits. I think is probably the more apropos place to start than in insurance rates. And I know that I have Ms. Boyle here from Brown & Brown to our broker who assists the insurance committee to get to the point where we're here today to speak to you about our benefits.
My arm was too short. I can get it.
Thank you.
As you recall, each year we come before you after conversations throughout the year with our insurance committee, which is made up of both management and the both unions. And at this point, we're in a position, after discussions with Ms. Boyle and a review of the available data and discussions that she has with various vendors, to look at what our insurance slate of benefits will look like for the next school year after open enrollment beginning in September. So I'm going to go ahead and
Good afternoon, nice to see you all. I'll take you through the executive summary, and then there's some supporting pages as well. As a follow-up to some prior conversations, the recommendation this year from the insurance committee is to add a new base plan to your existing 3 plans. So employees can choose to stay where they're at, or they can choose a lower cost plan that might make more sense for their families. So we'll show you that page in just a moment. The dental with Guardian was coming out of a 2-year rate guarantee, and that resulted in a 9% increase after negotiations. The loss ratio, which to remind you is you take the claims, divide it by the premium paid in, and that number, the closer it is to 100%, 100% means the carrier is breaking even. So they prefer that to be closer to like 80 percentile, 85th for dental. 96% called for a 25% increase, but we were able to get that down to a 9% for them to hold on to the business. When we look at the dollar amount, it really was not substantial, so the committee was in agreement there. The vision, Tomoka Eye is one of the providers in the area. They have several offices, and they've gone out of network with everyone except for VSP. So we went and were able to find an option where you could keep your same network and VSP, and employees can have the choice between staying with your current iMed network or the VSP network. The carrier that does this dual offering is the Standard Insurance Company. They specialize in public sector. We have a lot of business with them in the state. But we were able to put together a table that will be used during open enrollment. So when employees are going through that enrollment, they can say, this is my vision provider, I want to take this network, or this is my vision provider, I want to take this network. There was a slight decrease in the rates for that, a 2-year rate guarantee, and then the rates are the same regardless of which network they choose. So it's really just a choice, adding choice to the menu of benefits. We also went out to seek a gap plan. So a gap plan is something that can help fill in those gaps that traditional insurance may not cover. So things like inpatient and outpatient hospital stays. Won't cover prescriptions or doctor's office visits, but it might really make sense for someone that doesn't know that they have an upcoming hospital stay, or maybe they do, and they're wanting to take not the most expensive medical plan, not your premium plan, for example, but perhaps maybe take the basic plan and use this as supplemental to cover that expense. So the way that it works is they have to be enrolled in major medical. They can't just take the gap plan. It's 100% paid by the employee, so it's optional. And it has a $1,000 deductible per person, so it doesn't start right away. But it does have a $3,500 up to $3,500 for outpatient per person in the family. It maxes out at 3 people in the family. So if you have a 5-person family, the plan will only pay out $3,500 for the first 3, and then an additional $3,500 per person for inpatient stay. So a pretty substantial benefit. There is more detail in the supporting pages.
And that's supposed to essentially help those transition into, let's say, an HSA plan where there's a high deductible until they could perhaps save enough for that deductible. Are they, is this gap insurance something that they have to carry for the whole year? Or let's say that, hey, I'm able to save enough, now I can drop my gap insurance? Or is that you have to decide every year?
Yeah, this would be something they're locked into for the plan year that they could drop next year. And it can be offered with any of your plans. So the new base plan, your premium, or the standard, all of them, they can take this plan.
Great, thank you.
And just to look at the plan designs on page 4, the new base plan is shown on the left. We've made everything green. That is a change from when we compare it to the standard plan. And the HSA, I do want to point out, there's IRS rules on the HSA minimum deductible, so that did increase slightly from $3,200 to $3,300, which is shaded in gray on the HSA plan. We caught that just recently, so that will be a change that goes into place for open enrollment. The new base plan is an option for someone that perhaps is looking for a lower cost premium plan. but maybe they're on prescriptions and have specialist visits are good examples there. Where the HSA might be a little bit, they make a lot of sense for employees that are on that HSA plan now, for example, that are not putting money into a health savings account, they're just taking it because it's the lowest cost option. And it also could make sense for someone that's on the standard plan that was really just on it because they wanted to have co-pays and some predictable costs for prescriptions and office visits. So we have some migration assumptions when we've looked at the pricing on these plans based on kind of that thought. And then on page 5, this is what the rates and contributions would look like under this scenario. The assumptions that the actuary has made here is that 15% of the current premium enrollees, so you have 107 people that are on the premium plan, this model shows that about 15% of them will migrate to the standard plan because of the premium increase. They may just be weighing their options. 50% of those enrolled in the standard plan will move over to the base plan for the reason that I was just explaining to you all. And then 50% of the HSA enrollees with employee, spouse, or child coverage up to the base plan. That one's a little bit of an unknown. The thought process there from the actuary is that the rate for someone that is on the HSA plan for employee only is currently $71.90. It's only increasing by $5. If they wanted to stay where they're at on the HSA, they may do that. Similar story with a family. But I think the migration to the base plan is a little bit of an unknown, but this was the best educated guess that he had. Under this scenario, the contributions have shifted from the normal fixed dollar contribution for the board, which is shown under the ER column. Currently, the board contributes $590.22 for every plan and tier. Employees just pay the difference between the total premium and that amount. What we've done on the right is a lot of the feedback from employees, and I know some goals within the organization, is to offer more of a split percentage and be able to cover more of that employee plus dependent cost. And so what we've done with the base plan is a 90% board contribution for employee only and a 50% for the dependents, which is an incredible step. I think that you can see the savings on the far right. We've compared it to your current HSA premiums for the employee, the standard plan, and the premium plan. So for example, for someone that is on the premium plan, family coverage, if they were to move up to the new base plan family coverage, they would see a $940 savings per month for that family coverage. For someone that is on the standard plan for employee spouse coverage, for example, they would see a $210 savings per month by taking that new base plan. And we've outlined this, and I think it'll help during open enrollment for employees to see that as well, so that they can make the best determination for their family. Of course, the deductible is higher on that new base plan, but if perhaps you do the gap plan to fill that in, or you're not planning an inpatient, outpatient stay, and that makes sense to you, and you still see the savings.
And I think what's important is that as people look at this, they have to pay attention not only to the deductible, but also the maximum out-of-pocket,
Yes.
which I know the deductible scares people, but when you look at that maximum out-of-pocket, there is a protection there.
Right.
And so it isn't that big of a leap of faith. Well, I could end up being millions of dollars in debt. There's a clear protection here from that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And with all these changes that we're discussing, we understand that it could be a lot for an employee to really understand. So something our team is really taking in stride is, with all these proposed changes, making sure we have the education materials, whether it's through our benefit guide or any other supplemental materials, ready to go come open enrollment, so that we can have those conversations with folks that are trying to understand potential options on how it can best impact themselves and their family.
And we're, to get to the point now where we're actually showing you this, one plan alternative, was a long journey for the union and management, through the monthly insurance sessions and then through collective bargaining. We are at the point where both union leadership and management leadership have signed off on this slate going into next year. And none of us thinks it's a perfect solution, but we are confident that it's the best with what the current slate and rate plans that we have.
There's still some cost savings in here that is, I mean, the work that's been done and brought up, that you've brought up here and stuff, this is a lot better than where we were.
So the options, like we talked earlier, and I said it before and I'll say it again, just having more options, I think, for individuals, and then the support, it sounds like you guys are really looking ready, like you're ready to support all the questions of all staff to come to you. So, I mean, it's looking good.
Yeah, this is, to me, a really great collaborative effort, and one that is outside of the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with some extreme situations, and I think that across the board, management team, the union, the work with our liaison and the school board, I think just kind of like breaking the tradition and seeing what else we could do. And I'm excited to see how else we continue to tackle these issues.
And I like the things that you're talking about, sir, in regards to making sure that we have the communication piece. We've talked about that a lot in some other meetings that we have, so the proactiveness of making sure that we're communicating with staff in regards to what they can do, what's out here, going to them, going to the clinic areas and being accessible to really drive home, any questions that they may have. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
I'm glad to see the gap plan. I think that will
Yeah.
also, that's a huge help if somebody ends up in the hospital. It's towards the end.
Okay, haven't got that way.
The dental we included, just so you can see, if you can read the tiny print at the bottom, just the dollar value change. We're looking at a current for the high plan, for example, of $29.55 to a renewal of $32.21. So all of that is there for you, no plan changes. The vision, you can see they're slightly different as far as the out-of-network. We've shaded in gray between the VSP and the IMED networks. The IMED network with Standard is the same network as you have today with Aetna, and then the VSP, of course, would have the Tomoka I. On the following page, page 9, we have done the comparison. This was in a 40-mile radius of the zip code that I'm failing to remember now, but it was the main one right here.
2164?
Yeah. And so we have anything from Ormond, Daytona, St. John's, St. Augustine, even all the way up to Jacksonville. Must be on the outskirts of Jacksonville. But these are all of the participation. So you can see there's some overlap, but they have two different models. The IMED model is more of the bigger stores like the Target Optical, et cetera. And then the VSP is more of the private practice providers. So
good choice.
Mix.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The GAP plan, this is just a high-level overview of it, but as we said, the plan is $1,000 deductible. It will reimburse or pay at the point of sale. If the provider will file the claim with the GAP plan, the employee doesn't have to file for reimbursement.
Because they ask you to pay right now, right? Like, as you're walking in.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
And then the following page has the rates on it and some of the things that it covers. So things like radiation, chemotherapy, some expenses with those as far as like prescriptions are not covered. So there is some fine print like with any insurance policy, but I think it's a great plan.
Can the gap go with the HSA or?
Yes, so
any of them?
this one is, that's why it has a deductible, is so that it can be HSA. They didn't use the word qualified, it's a complement, is what Transamerica calls it.
I'm really excited about this gap. I know what it was originally spoken about, but just thinking, okay, I'm looking right here. I see ultrasound, I see EKG, CAT scan. These are just random things. So if someone does have a family, children,
Yeah, these are the common
things that are going to stat ultrasound. So I think this would be helpful for those that do have a large family.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm really pleased to see this added. I think the request came in at the wire, so this exceeds my expectation to include this here.
Like I said earlier, I really today, our meeting earlier, thank you. Everything we have said, even just mentioning it, not even thinking, but you guys really listened, and put it together. So this is awesome.
It's exciting that you're able to offer more for the employees, even on a voluntary basis, right? So just give them the options to meet their needs. Page 12 does give an example of how the plan could work, and so Jane delivers a baby, owes the hospital for whatever the major medical didn't cover. She gives them her gap insurance ID card at the time of service, and the hospital files the claim. So as long as the hospital will do that legwork, then the employee is not having to front that money, which is great.
That's great.
Yeah, complemented by the Wellness Center, that just adds another option when making a selection, because you can add that into it as well, where we know some of our insured have had issues with the current clinic that we have. Those with our wellness, those issues should be alleviated, because that's only going to be for our insured. So access, more predictable cost, for if you're going to a doctor outside, going directly to our wellness center.
Yeah.
This is.
That's a perfect segue into our site.
And this example for delivering a baby, a lot of doctors actually require you to pay for the delivery before you deliver.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anyone went
I was
through that.
thinking, I like this example too. In my head.
Yeah, but, so that's what's happening now. So if you're having a baby, this would be a great thing to have.
And if more of our staff bring on their children into this, which we're encouraging by some of the way that the rate plans were structured, does that in the future also help the actuaries for us? So by bringing those families on, this could help us to mitigate future increases or make them less if they're
That's
there.
absolutely true. So just spreading that risk out amongst more people, and then a healthier risk. So if you can get those that are not high utilizers to take the plan, which children would definitely fall into that category in most cases.
All of these steps are just a long-range plan for, we're looking ahead about what we're going to do is going to put us in better financial shape moving forward into the future. So all of these things that you're doing in your team is really setting the district up for that success, and then hoping to be able to continue to bring in the greatest talent that wants to come to Flagler County to teach our students. And so this is just one step of that. So thank you for the work.
Yeah, amazing. This is the first of a 3-year journey that I think is going to be revolutionary for our staff and faculty, and they're going to see direct benefits pretty quickly.
How do we get to yes with a well-defined process?
That's right, so we can continue to say yes.
Well, I'm glad we did a lot of brainstorming, because I know it was,
a lot.
It was a lot, but it worked, so.
So, great. Well, then we'll move on to 7.02 Marathon Health Contract.
I'm here.
I can't leave yet.
This is wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more. We've got next, okay. Josh wants to make sure we get the contract out of the way. And now he's right. I love it. That's why I keep him around.
Keep
He's
him
always
straight,
right.
Josh. Keep him straight.
Thank you, Josh. Remind the board that we went through with the board the contract that had already previously been signed, and at the end of quite lengthy discussions on some different topics, we did decide on going back to Marathon and asking them for a contract amendment, and that was basically in the area of the recitals, and specifically the client's expenses in the section for approvals for the marketing plan. And what we had original language, they didn't just insert, since it was a contract amendment, they did a small rewrite of section II under 1, just above 4.7, and basically what they did there was add that the client shall implement, cooperate with Marathon's marketing campaign process, which delivers a time-based series of digital and other communications shown to maximize engagement eligible members. Client will approve all aspects of the marketing plan. And we have had that kind of choice throughout that, as far as having discussions with them, and we're currently in the process of working through something as sounds simple as signage. And we've gone back and forth probably 6 or 7 times to make some kind of corrective pieces to that, and we've had full engagement with them on that.
Great,
So
great. This makes me feel a whole lot better. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
To the next one.
Next 703, this is the engagement plan for Marathon Health.
And board, as we've gone through this whole process from its first inception of trying to stand up a wellness to, we're getting close. We did tell you that we would be back with an engagement/marketing plan and what our first year plan would look like. We are at that point where there, you know, the boots are on the ground, building and putting up drywall as we speak, and so we anticipate, you know, it will be done by July, maybe a little sooner, and as such, we are bringing forward right now our kind of marketing plan for this. Engagement. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. So, good afternoon, Board, Superintendent. In alignment with the Flagler County School District's commitment to supporting the health and well-being of its employees, the district is introducing the Flagler Schools Wellness Center by Marathon Health as part of its employee benefit package. The launch of the Flagler Schools Wellness Center in July of 2025 will offer personalized care supported by a team of medical professionals through Marathon Health. And we'll go ahead to the next slide. The Wellness Center will be open 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. Initially, the hours will be as follows. We'll be open Monday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Daily, that center will be closed for lunch from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., and we will be tracking the utilization monthly, and we'll adjust our hours accordingly based on trends with our employee population. This way, we can ensure that our employees are able to take full advantage of the 40 hours that we have to work with starting off at launch.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So when we do that, that would be whenever a staff member calls and say, well, you know, you constantly are getting, I can't come until 8 o'clock, I'm just going to use that for example, at night. So when I want an appointment, you can't get an appointment because they're closed, so we're going to be tracking that type of thing as well?
Absolutely. So what we'll be able to look at through Marathon is they'll be able to provide reports and show per hour where our appointments are lining up. So if we're seeing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which will be our later hours, that we are constantly seeing folks book from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., and we're not seeing folks really book in that 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. window, we'll know that we'll go ahead exactly, and that'll affect the needs. And then our folks downstairs in our benefits team that are working directly with our employees will also be soliciting feedback for, hey, how is the system going? What experiences are you seeing? And we'll adjust accordingly.
Now, that was going to be my next question would be, so even if they get an appointment, will we be able to ask them and get that feedback and say, I could come here, but it would have been a lot better if I could have done 8 o'clock?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Additional benefit to this is, I don't know where you can go and get a doctor's appointment after 3 p.m. So the fact that this is going to help save teachers from having substitutes and eating into their time off, this is amazing.
This is very reasonable.
Is there any opportunity for weekends, or right now is just,
That's
this is great.
yeah.
I mean, the 7 p.m., I mean, I feel like right now it fits pretty much, you know, elementary, middle, and high school.
The weekend question is a phenomenal question. When we went through the RFP process, it was one that was brought up as well. And Marathon collaborated with us, kind of stating, we don't usually see a lot of weekend utilization. So for starters, we're starting off with just Monday through Friday, and then also talking with our partners at the Prompt Care Clinic and getting an idea of the utilization that's being used now. They're not seeing a ton of utilization on Saturday. Now, other districts that utilize a Marathon Wellness Center have gotten to the point where they offer a small range of hours on the weekends just for acute care. That way those folks that, hey, I'm kind of feeling like I'm coming down with something, if I can make it through the week, schedule appointments Saturday morning and go and get there. So that might be somewhere where we can get to. It's definitely something we'll keep an eye on. And on this next slide, we have the various services that will be offered at $0 cost to Flagler Schools employees and eligible spouses and dependents on a Flagler Schools medical plan. As mentioned in previous discussions with the board, all new employees will interact with the Wellness Center at the start of their employment life cycle, where they will be engaged through non-DOT pre-employment drug screening, and then as well for our bus drivers, this is where they will also be getting their DOT physical. So no matter what new employee we have joining our district, they will come through the Wellness Center before they start on the job. So they will be able to be exposed to what we believe is going to be a phenomenal product and benefit to our employees.
Will this include, I'm assuming yes, but like a well woman exam for females? It says annual physical exam, so for,
We'll look at that and see what we will be able to offer.
because that, okay.
So we can
I'd like
get
to
back
know,
you
just
with
because that is huge for preventative care,
Mhm.
and then, you know, yeah, so if you could let me know. that would be cool.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Perfect. All right. So, as we look to drive engagement and utilization of the Wellness Center, our objectives are as follows. Achieve high awareness, encourage immediate participation, promote the app and digital access, build trust and engagement, and successfully launch a Wellness Center incentive program, or a wellness incentive program. And we'll talk more about that here in a moment. Up here on the next slide, regarding our promotional channels. In order to successfully bring awareness and drive engagement to this new benefit, we will be utilizing various channels to communicate this wonderful benefit that is going to be available to our employees, to get the word out and to educate our employees. Utilizing internal communications, we will be able to email employees directly, send them our bi-monthly HR and benefits newsletter, and meet with them face-to-face at their work location to promote the Wellness Center and drive engagement. Online and digitally, we will have a dedicated web page for our district on our district website, which will showcase our Wellness Center and help increase awareness and also aid in our recruitment efforts to bring in new employees. We constantly see folks that are looking to join Flagler Schools potentially use our website as a means to become familiar with what our district has to offer. So being able to showcase our Wellness Center is something that we believe is going to be able to help differentiate us from other school districts.
And it's a question that we often get at hiring, do we have a Wellness Center? And so for us to be able to say, yes, that's what it.
And board, this has been a very, not a long process. It feels long to me because it feels like we've been working through this step by step. Last summer, when we knew we had this going forward and we had new folks joining us, say from St. Johns County, and our benefits team would let them know, hey, we currently have the prompt care clinic, but we will be moving to the as soon as we said Marathon, I just love my Wellness Center in St. John, so they are excited. So what we're hearing from other folks is very encouraging, so we're hoping to be able to spread that good news as we get closer to launch. Or these next 4 slides will showcase examples of the marketing materials that we have collaborated with Marathon Health on creating to showcase the upcoming arrival of our Wellness Center. We will be sharing these materials with our employees to build excitement and awareness of the Wellness Center offerings. So these are items of marketing materials that we will be sharing throughout the district that you will see, whether it's on the carousel on the TVs, posted on employee bulletin boards, and just shared throughout. And then here on this slide, as we mentioned in the beginning of this presentation.
I think they went to.
There we go. Okay, we'll go to slide 9. There we go. It's escaping us. Okay, so board, as mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, the various services that will be offered by our Wellness Center will cover up to 90% of our employees' health and wellness needs. This communication and messaging is important as we look to change the mindset from moving from our prompt care clinic to our Wellness Center, which will be able to offer a litany of services that will reduce the out-of-pocket costs associated with health and wellness to our employees directly. So our team will be sure to educate our folks on knowing, hey, when you go to the Wellness Center, this will not be an additional cost to your premium or have an impact to your deductible. So by having a good understanding of that information, it'll help them know which plans are right for them and which won't break the bank for them as well, for them and their families.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Do you know if, if someone just needs a lab appointment,
Yeah.
so they don't need to necessarily see the nurse practitioner, they're just there for their blood work that they have to get like every month, is that something that they can just go, and so the medical assistant, they just go in, check in, they see them, and then they leave? So basically it's like.
Yeah, so for instance, if I went to a specialist or another doctor or my own primary care and I'm also on the Flagler Schools medical plan, they ordered labs, instead of going to a Quest or somewhere else, they can take that order to our Wellness Center. So we are making sure to communicate that out as well, because no offense, no one likes waiting around for labs and get lab work done. So being able to do that at our employee-only Wellness Center will be a huge benefit to those folks.
And having the differentiation in the appointment types as well.
That's what I was thinking,
Absolutely,
like, you know, if it's just a lab, they don't even have to wait for the provider, just in and out. Okay, nice.
And we do also, it's, aside from appointments, there are walk-in opportunities as well. And you see the QR code there, something that will be, there's an app that'll be available.
I know, I scanned it. There's an app.
Yeah, and the app will go live just a week or so before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we open.
All right, our postcard. In collaboration with Marathon Health, we have an example of a postcard that we can choose to either print and mail out or utilizing targeted digital reach out to our employees. So this is an example of a mode of marketing that we've collaborated with them on, included with our current cost. If we choose to mail it out, of course, it would be at a cost, but we can also just choose to utilize this digitally and send it directly to our groups of employees. And fourth, this slide contains examples of materials that we will be providing directly to employees as we roll out our information on the Wellness Center district-wide. Beginning this month, the members of the benefits team will be visiting our school sites to speak with our staff and faculty directly. On the left, you can see an example of what our HR and benefits newsletter is going to look like. And that newsletter will be sent bi-monthly to employees with the goal to feature practical wellness strategies, spotlight health and wellness programs, and offer expert advice to help our employees thrive. On the right is an additional piece of marketing materials that includes an anonymous testimonial from a previous Marathon Health patient. So just to give you an idea of what others have experienced with this model. All right. And fourth, we recognize that there is a clear need in year one to establish confidence and trust between the Flagler Schools Wellness Center and our employees. We are confident that this wellness center will be a game changer and for those that are a part of a Flagler Schools medical plan. And we've identified 2 incentives that we will be offering to drive engagement to our wellness center. When an employee first uses the wellness center, whether it is for acute care, flu shot, or physical, they will receive $25 through payroll. When an employee completes their annual physical at our wellness center, they will receive $100. This means that there is an opportunity for our employees to earn up to $125 through the Wellness Center initiatives during the 25-26 school year. This period of eligibility will be from the time the Wellness Center opens, whether that's in late June through early July, and it will continue on through May 30th of 2026. We are currently also looking at creative ways to drive engagement to the Wellness Center long term, and that may come in the form of a minor reduction in premium or deductible with the completion of additional wellness activities. As we've talked with other school districts that have a similar model, we're gauging feedback to see what would be right to bring the Flagler schools for the long haul. So that's just an example of what we are looking at doing to target driving engagement in year one. So on this slide here, we have an example of our communication timeline that we are currently underway of presenting. So when we look ahead to the next 3 to 4 months, we have various key communication events highlighted, showing how the rollout of information will be handled as we get closer and closer to opening the Wellness Center. During the month of April, we have presented this plan to the district senior staff, and we are now showcasing it all to you to show you what we plan on doing to our employees. Actually, starting this week, our team is meeting with 2 schools to begin rolling out this communication plan to showcase how this benefit will impact our employees. By the time the new plan year begins, we will have visited with over 90% of our eligible employee population. Next slide. Looking ahead to June, and as we approach 30 days with our projected opening in July of this year, the appointment scheduling window will open, and eligible employees will be able to schedule appointments. We will be pushing out this ability to schedule by featuring Book Your Appointment Now messaging. So ideas just like with the QR code, that will be pushed out to our employees district-wide so that they can begin scheduling their appointments. Some feedback we've already received from employees as they are finishing up their appointments with Prompt Care is, hey, I'm already hitting this mark, can I start scheduling with a potentially new provider? So we are working with Marathon typically. They don't open that up until about a week before, but knowing our employee population, we wanted to make sure we had a 30-day window so that we could start driving engagement and getting those slots filled. And as we look forward to July and August, we anticipate having a soft opening once construction is completed and we are moved into the facility. This soft opening will allow us to begin serving employees while ensuring a positive launch experience. During that time when we first open, we will also be having our leadership team tour through the facility because we truly believe that driving engagement starts from the top and works its way down. Our employees need to see just how much of an importance we as a district are putting into this center and want to make sure that that is communicated out. There will also be a ribbon cutting event at the Wellness Center where we plan on inviting various school district stakeholders as well as the school board. We understand that many of our employees will not be at their work sites when the Wellness Center potentially opens in July, which is why we are planning on creating a video walkthrough of the facility to showcase the new facility, which will be shared out during our welcome back messaging to staff and to teachers. Throughout the year, the communication/promotional channels discussed earlier in this presentation will continue to engage with our employee population to promote the Wellness Center. Just because we get to launch doesn't mean that's where everything stops. It's actually where things really kick into high gear. Really pushing forward, positive word of mouth is probably going to be the biggest thing to help boost this wellness center and drive engagement. So making sure that those experiences are hugely positive is going to go a long way. We are now going to go ahead and transition to just a brief update regarding construction of the wellness center. We actually have a couple of photos, which is exciting. Progress is moving very well. It seems like every time I turn around, Mr. Bush is sending us more photos of, hey, look at where they are now, look at where they are here. Every day is something new. So we are very encouraged with the progress we're seeing at the wellness center, which, as a reminder, is located at the former gym building at the Belterre Swim Facility. Just as an update, as you can see here, this is all new. So all the demo has already been completed. Plumbing and slab work is in progress, and also framing. So it seems like every week I get a new update, or we get a new update, and it's moving right along. We are very encouraged to see that progress towards a midsummer completion. So as we look forward next to just next steps, a couple of items just to keep in the back of your mind is we are looking to potentially also add wellness advocates at our work sites to help keep employees engaged and informed of the district's various insurance opportunities and wellness offerings. So that is something we are going to continue to work on with district leadership to see how we could potentially move forward with that to benefit our employees and to continue to drive that trust and education at the school level or department level. Additionally, we'll also be working with Marathon to go ahead and schedule a ribbon cutting as we get closer to an actual opening date. So then at this point, I'll open it up for questions.
I'd like everybody to kind of consider maybe like a cash price option for immediate family members, like spouses. Like maybe they're not on your insurance plan, but for $50 or $100 or whatever, they could come to the clinic. And that could also help us to make a little bit of revenue because it's going to be our clinic, so we could use
Like
that
a self-pay
like.
option for.
Yeah, a self-pay option.
Yeah, because that would be cheaper than going to the.
You know,
urgent
just
care.
kids and spouses, just.
I think there's a lot of change this year between the health clinic and the different options. I think a lot of your communication and educational materials are well thought out. I do think that we need to have something that is not optional or not something that they could not have to be 100% focused in. For example, when we distribute the insurance sign up or the benefit sign-ups, if we could deliver that in a way using some of our technology resources, I'm thinking like some of the LMS tools where we create some of the educational materials that they have to take and complete before the enrollment materials open up, like in a course or however we might distribute that, would be extremely beneficial because there's a lot of new information here that they need to consume before making one of their benefit decisions.
No, I think that's a great point because of course those that know to ask questions will ask questions. Those that don't, we're finding we need to make sure we're taking that extra step. When we look at our benefit guide for this year, it contained a very high level overview of what the plans were, but then the actual plan design wasn't included in it. So when we talk with our folks downstairs, we are looking at for this year's benefit for each plan. So you can go in there and see, okay, what's my deductible, what's covered, and things of that nature. So I think being proactive and making it more of an active sharing of information compared to voluntary is a really great note.
I think also more of these profiles, like, here is Sue who has a major medical event, right? And just kind of like with the information of the mom having a baby, but also, well, here's somebody who uses the medical services at a minimum basis. How would it compare with the basic standard HSA and premium plan? What is the actual cost at the end of the year for a couple of different profiles? Ones that you all see are typical with our usage so that people could kind of say, yeah, that's me, and okay, I can see the dollar cents now.
Something else that we can do is embed short videos within the benefits guide. That's a new capability that we have for our clients through the digital benefits guide, where there's a welcome video hosted by our team, but then also learn more about which medical plan would be best for you and your family, or link here to see a tour of the carrier websites. There's just different things that you can embed in. And people have limited attention these days, so like 2 to 5 minute videos are better than the 45-minute.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And so some of the information we'll be pushing out as we go to our schools is letting them know that the benefit guide will be more robust this year. We will also continue to have representatives from Brown & Brown at our government services building during open enrollment to help those folks one-on-one. We also have the collaboration with Winston Benefits that has a actual benefits helpline that they can call, and in conjunction with us, they can enroll over the phone. And those folks are trained on an annual, and probably even a biannual cadence of what our culture is, what we really want to make sure we're pushing out and educating our folks, so they know, even though they might be in Tennessee or so and they're answering the phone, they know exactly what we are trying to do with driving our folks to our plans.
On slide 9, can you just clarify, are we going to have the option for virtual visits or no? Because it says it on here and I thought we talked about it, or is that for the future, or is that going to happen?
No, we will definitely, with us having a Marathon Health Center, even though we'll just have three people of personnel that are there on site, we also have the opportunity for them to access online care, even also mental health, behavioral services through it as well.
But that wouldn't be the medical staff in the clinic. That's like a teledoc service, basically?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
It could be, though.
And that would be...
They might also be able to take
What kind of-
virtual appointments.
Do you know what kind of computer programming? Is it Epic or? If it is something like that, they can.
It's a common EMR, but I can't remember if it's Epic or if it's the...
And we can get that back to the board. If you provide that to me, I can provide it to the board.
And would virtual be zero cost as well? So, see, these are things I think, like, once the marketing goes out, it's just going to be so much better, I think, for everyone. Especially, it's only going to be Flagler staff. So I think that's a huge difference what they're getting now, so it will be good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay.
We will continue to bring an update for you on our progress as we get closer to launching this in just now a couple of months. Just a couple weeks.
Excited. It's right there.
Yes. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
all so much.
So, 7.0 first.
Yeah, we did all of those. Now we're at 8:01. They put the rates in with the slate of benefits.
All right, yeah. All right, so 8.01, School Safety Quarterly Compliance Report. Mr. Bossedat, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair Furry, school board members, and Superintendent Moore.
And I have not, I don't know if many of you have had an opportunity to work with Mr. Bossedat, but Mr. Bossedat is returning to us. He spent several years in different positions within the district office, including the safety specialist that helped us to navigate through our COVID years. And now he is back at the district office. Again, in the safety role, and just a great asset to our organization as a whole. Has a great relationship with our sheriff's office as well as with our schools, and so he's going to do some great things in this role. So this is Mr. David Bossedat.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad to be here. In accordance with Florida Administrative Code and Florida statutes, the Office of Safe Schools through Florida Department of Education has to complete unannounced school inspections. They have to visit each school at least once every 3 years. They can visit each school more. So this past quarter, they visited one of our schools, and in that school, they found 2 deficiencies listed. I don't want to minimize what the deficiencies, because obviously we don't want any deficiencies in our report, but I do consider them administrative oversights or immediately corrected. What they noted in their report is that our staff members weren't trained in threat management that were sitting on our current teams, and the reason they noted that is they asked for the certifications of those staff members during the time of their visit. We didn't have hard copies of the certificates to provide them. They were provided immediately after the visit. Since then, we have corrected that action. I'll explain that here in a minute. The other deficiency that was listed was they did not have the threat management meeting notes from the prior month. So they came and visited our school March 4th. The threat management team did meet in February. It didn't make it into the record. So when she asked for the meeting minutes from that particular meeting, it hasn't been transitioned over to the binder. So again, we weren't able to provide those minutes upon request. The school did track them down, and we provided them immediately following the visit.
Yeah, the physical minutes were not. They had the digital minutes, they had the digital certification, but the physical minutes is the notation. And so we, as Mr. Boster stated, we did make that correction immediately and ensure that all of our other schools have physical copies of all of the certification and notes in their binders.
So I had a call, you and I met and related to this, and all the information, the main information we had, we had everything. Right. However, as you mentioned, it's administrative. So correct me if I'm wrong, so it does not have to be in a hard binder, which it can be. Correct. But it also could be digital. Just want to make sure that we're clear on that. So correct. Every school could be potentially different in how they house the information unless you've come up with something, internally that says that you want to do it one way or the other.
Yes, so to answer your question, yes, it does not have to be a hard copy. They could keep it electronically. However, I think consistency is important. Sure. So what we did is the following meeting, which in April at our leadership meeting, we met with every principal, and we are requesting that they keep physical hard copies of all their documentation in a binder. So moving forward, all of our schools have their safety binders, that everything goes into that binder. As a backup, though, I will house electronic copies of everything. So again, we didn't have staff members who were not trained. It's not that we were not conducting our meetings. The deficiency noted was that we were unable to provide it upon request. We did upload it into the Florida Safe School Assessment Tool. Like I said, immediately following, they did acknowledge it, and there's no further follow-up requested from them at this time.
So when deficiencies are noted, is it just like a binary yes or no? Are they all equally weighted? For example, like this is a documentation issue versus, oh, you're not securing your doors. So how do they weight the deficiencies?
So for the most part, it's a yes or no. However, the big one where they will request immediate action is related to a safe school officer on campus. So if there's no safe school officer on campus, that school they will call on the sheriff to provide one until the school district provides a safe school officer. Obviously, we don't have that issue because we have deputies on campus. But to follow up with that is they will, as part of their report, when they send us their deficiencies, we have to provide feedback and list corrective actions. In these instances, there was no corrective action needed because we submitted the requested documentation.
Thank you.
I just wanted some clarification on the digital versus physical documentation, because I was a little confused in the conversation there. So we were cited because we only had it in a digital form and not in a printed form available to them when they asked for it?
We were able to provide it in a digital form. It wasn't provided at the time of the visit. So when they asked for the certifications, the school was unaware that they had to keep hard copies of their certifications. What I did is I reached out to our district threat management coordinator. She was able to log into our system and provide those certificates. And she actually sent them to me electronically, which is how I provided them to the school. So it's, again, it's not whether it has to be a hard copy or an electronic version. It just has to be available upon request, and we didn't provide it. When she requested proof of the certifications, we weren't able to provide it.
Okay, had they have had a digital version
it
of
would have been,
at
yes,
that
sir.
moment, okay, then that would have satisfied. Okay, got it.
So like I said, we're requesting they have hard copies, but I'll also have electronic copies of everybody who's been certified, and I could provide it electronically at that point.
Thanks for the clarification. Yeah. All right.
So each quarter, Mr. Bosterdet will have to come before you and provide these updates. And to Ms. Ruddy's point, There are, the weightings other than the safe school officers, they're pretty much the same, but the corrective action really comes from the power of the board to identify when deficiencies are not happening, and then of course that correction comes to the superintendent, and so we have corrected these, and I am confident going forward these will not be areas of concern.
Yeah, I like the piece when we talked and you reiterated it again to immediately meeting with your principals, with your staff, your supervisors to ensure that it didn't happen. So I appreciate the proactiveness and making sure that's being done.
And I will tell you, so far in quarter 4, they've come back and visited 2 schools, and there's been no deficiencies found at any of the
Fantastic.
schools.
Great job.
And we have taken a very direct approach. And again, we don't want to minimize the administrative pieces because they serve a purpose as well. But we have been very direct with our administrators as with our staff around the expectation for safety on our campus. And I am very pleased at their response and the seriousness that they take to it.
Very good.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, that was our last agenda item for today. That moves us now to public comment. Do we have anybody for public comment? No. Okay, we'll close public comment and move on to board member requests. Are there any board member requests at this time?
I wanted to see, since, we've been getting into the wellness center, lots of great initiatives, if we could somehow table when the time is right to see what funding we have to do health initiatives like per campus. And I know I talked to Ms. Moore about this, but a lot of businesses, educational institutes, they do this. So for example, I don't know, walking, or yoga in the gym, but like people that work at the campuses. So this will help with like health and wellness and just overall health for Flagler County. So I wanted to see if,
And we,
start the year fresh next year.
Start fresh. Years ago, we did offer several different courses for, like as you're stating, yoga and different programs that we have offered. And so I can definitely follow up with Mr. Ule and Mr. Walker around how we go about bringing those items back. They've been through in the past, have come through FTC historically, where how they were done then. And so looking at how we can bring those initiatives back.
Yeah, it was like you would get the ability to take one of the courses at adult ed, right?
Yeah.
Where they
Oh,
would
I
have
didn't even-
aerobics or whatever.
Okay.
Some schools have their own initiatives, like Indian Trails actually got used gym equipment and then they would work out. I know Ms. Sturman at Rimfire, she puts together
Cardio drums right now.
Cardio drums, it's fun. I've been at it, it's entertaining.
She's invited me in. One of these days I will make it to cardio drum.
It's fun, it's not bad, yeah.
But yeah, just something to think about for the future, like Flagler Forward, let's get healthy, let's, we're putting a lot of work into this, we want to see the numbers go down, we want everyone healthy, and yeah, so I love to see that, happy to help too.
Okay. All right.
I think I would just wonder if we might entertain, when we have special meetings or executive meetings, if we could hold those on the Tuesdays that we don't have a workshop or an information session. Just because I'm thinking, the last time today, you're going on 7, 8, 9 hours of a meeting where you want to make sure you give your 100% the whole time.
Noted. Yeah.
I know we're getting close to opening the clinic, but I just wanted to share some feedback from a staff member, just the difficulty with scheduling with Advent. Saying it could take a couple months. If that's really happening and we're getting closer, maybe we need to choose a date on when we quit paying for that and just save a little bit of money there. If they can't make an appointment, then that's when they're going to go to an urgent care or an ER. And I,
we can bring some information back around that.
I was thinking we should even just call and say, hey, when can I get scheduled? just to see,
try it. Just do a check.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah. And then just sharing some other feedback. I've passed a lot of it on to Ms. Moore, and I'll leave it there. But the biggest issue is, code of conduct, discipline, and how do we create consequences that children care about. That's not my specialty, so, except for my own children.
More preventative is what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know what lengths we can go to. Some people talked about, can we adjust recesses? That's not my, that's up to you. But that they want to see some consequences that children will care about. That's the biggest concern.
Okay. Any others? Then we'll go to closing comments.
Oh, thank you.
Before we go to closing comments, can I just add a couple of things that we
Yes.
need to?
Go ahead.
One, the YMCA has requested a meeting before the board. We will get that scheduled as appropriate for your meeting schedules. I do recommend that you watch the city council meeting that happened today. That may provide some insight into what the conversation is that they would like to have with the board. I want to revisit a conversation we had last meeting for the May 27th as to that was a conflict that Ms. Ramirez had for that 1 p.m. meeting. Are we keeping that meeting the same? Are we making an adjustment to that May 27th? That is one of your, that's a night meeting as well as your informational meeting. And so either we can keep it, we can make an adjustment, we can fold it into your May 13th agenda meeting. We can do whatever is needed for that.
So I'll be there for the night meeting, just not
Yeah,
the 1
the
o'clock.
1 p.m. is packed with, I would
Graduate.
think that you would need to be at a lot of these events as well.
So we can, and it's up to the board, we can fold that informational meeting into the May 13th agenda meeting, if that works best, other than.
I think that makes
moving it.
sense with the number of activities that we have going on, that we would like to make
Yeah.
sure we're part of those celebrations as
Okay.
much as possible.
Okay. I also have a request that I'll bring before you tonight as well, and Mr. Delaney, you can let me know if we need to have them to take action on this or not. But May 13th, that is our ribbon cutting. I recommend to the board that we move that meeting from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. to allow for us to be able to open it up to the public. If we go for 3 p.m., we still will have students on campus, and therefore we would have to scan individuals in. So if we just make the adjustment, we've already said that the meeting will be at Matanzas, but if we make an adjustment from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., that will just allow for us to be able to really truly open it up for the public.
It's okay with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
We'll do that.
Non-voting, we just notice it.
Okay, perfect. We will move forward with that. I want to bring your attention that we will be bringing Bob and John Sarah before you in the next couple weeks for an update on session, and they will cover all the different things that have that has happened during session. So that will be coming up. And then on June 10th, that is a workshop. I am at the safety conference with Mr. Bosterdad. I can have someone else sit in my place on that June 10th meeting, or we can make an adjustment. I know several of our staff members are away at a conference that date of June 10th. So you don't have to make a decision about it right now, but just something that we may need to look at. We will need to look at the next meeting to identify, do we keep that meeting on that day? Do we make an adjustment to it? Again, I can have someone to sit and make sure we have notes and stuff for my part.
That's an informational?
That's an informational meeting.
On the 17th?
What else is happening?
On the 10th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's right with this, with the.
That's a workshop.
The school board
June
association.
10th is a workshop.
Yes, it's a.
The 11th is.
Yes, the
school board.
workshop. I'm
It's
sorry.
just
I
Not
did
an
not have the right
international
day.
workshop.
Tampa.
June 10th.
So June 11th is Tampa, if anyone's going for training. And then,
Yes,
Seems
so
like-
I'm just, I will not be here because I have to be at the
Seems
safety
like-
conference.
Seems like the 17th is fairly clear. It seems like that would make sense. But anyways. others have to look at their schedule.
So if we can just come prepared to discuss that at our next meeting on May 13th for that June 10th day. Okay? And that is all that I have for you can go into closing comments. Thank you.
So I just want to say thank you to the hard work for HR and Brown & Brown and the board, like all the collaboration, and I'll save everything else for tonight, so great meeting. Oh, and prayers to FSU.
Yes.
So I know everyone's been thinking of them a lot, so, but, yep.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting go-around with the insurance, and, you know, some very spirited conversations, but I think I'm very excited on where we're headed. And overall, I'm just thrilled so far. So, yes, thoughts and as well to the FSU family, and we have a lot of Flagler Palm Coast students and Matanzas students who go on to FSU, and it was good to see, you know, and hear, hey, my child's okay. You know, a lot of the former students that we're all aware of and care about. I also want to thank Ms. Moore for attending Ms. Fashionet's celebration of life. It was very touching, as well as numerous other members of our leadership teams across the community. It was a great time to remember her impact and help move her spirit along. So that was appreciated, and I know the family appreciated that as well. And yeah, just looking forward to a great school board meeting tonight. Thank you.
I'll just hold till this evening.
Yeah, no comments right now.
Okay. Superintendent Moore?
Well, Mr. Bush and I and Miss Carey are not just sporting our T-shirts just because we're being casual. And Bob over here with our hat, his hat. You know, we are celebrating our transportation department today. If I take my coat off, you'll have a nice bus on the back of this here shirt. So lots of celebrations coming up. We'll talk a lot about it tonight. Transportation, administrative professionals, paraprofessionals, teacher and employees. We'll be celebrating all of them together as we move into the first week of May. Looking forward to tonight.
Who designed them?
Transportation.
It's a different color blue.
Yeah.
A little different shade.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. All right, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank